Well, hi, baby. How are you? Sorry, that sound has been stuck in my fucking head. Today, we are going to figure out a goal that your spirit guides, angels, ancestors, whatever forces you feel like are working in your favor, a goal that maybe you've set up or they have set up for you, and how we are to achieve said goal. What's the time frame for it? In front of you, I have these three little trinkets. And I'm going to have a little anecdote for each trinket, in case none of them are kind of sparking your eye at the moment. We're going to see if you resonate or line up with any of like the little tidbits that I have for each trinket. But basically, if you are new to pick-a-pile readings, one of these trinkets is either going to catch your eye, or maybe the little anecdote I have for one of the trinkets will like feel like it lines up, so to speak. And whichever one feels like it catches your eye, or whichever one feels like it lines up to you, that's going to be the message. That's going to be the pile that you're going to want to scroll to. I'll have the timestamps in the description to kind of receive your message today. If none of these feel like they line up to you, don't worry. Like I said, I've got these little anecdotes I'll do in a second. But if more than one feels like it lines up to you, there might be more than one message here for you. But even after the anecdotes, if it feels like none of these line up for you, totally fine, babe. Hopefully we'll catch you in the next video. Otherwise, I do have a backlog catalog of other videos on my channel. Can't think of words today. That may pique your interest or may have more importance for you. But anyway, let's get right into it here. So I have this little toe ring. And if the toe ring feels like it's driving with you, or you've been kind of having like a barefoot summer, if you had a pedicure within the last 2 weeks, or you find yourself just really grounded and really like pulled and tethered to like warmer climate energies. I'm also getting like beachy vibes. So if any of those seem to line up for you, then this pile might be for you. For the second pile, we have this little like, it ripped off of, my grandma made me some, like a little gnome dots dude, and the heart kind of came off of the Valentine's one. So if there was something special that happened for you around Valentine's Day, or you have a birthday around Valentine's Day, then this is going to be the pile for you. Or if you've been really getting into dots recently, like these little sparkly things that like they have the little letters and you're supposed to line up each color with the letters and such. Or if you find yourself really like into garden gnomes, Romeo and Juliet maybe is a movie that you watched or have talked about within the last month, then this pile might just be for you. And finally, we have this soda tab here, this little golden soda tab dude that I'm pretty sure came from either, I want to say this one came from a White Claw can, but I'm getting this vibe that if you drink like White Claw seltzers, whether it be the zero or the regular, or carbless, or if you've had a carbless or a White Claw within the last week, maybe 2 for some of you. If gold is a very prevalent color that you've seen today, or if you find yourself wearing some sort of gold jewelry, then this pile might be for you. And remember to take what first resonates. So if you find yourself resonating later with one of the anecdotes I said, but you found yourself like intuitively guided to one of the other piles before I added the anecdote, just do with whatever jives best for you. I will always say intuition first. That was just a little extra there because I thought we had some weird trinkets today and I wanted to see what came out for them. But without further ado, like I said, timestamps in the description. Scroll to whatever pile feels like it is right for you, and we're going to get right into the message. Starting off strong with my beachy babes here. Like I said, if you chose the toe ring, then pile 1 is going to be the pile for you. And we are getting into what goal do your spirit guides, angels, ancestors, whatever forces you think are working in your favor, God, the universe, etc., what do they want to see you accomplish? We're going to get into your current energy and vibe, what the goal is, the steps that may be needed to achieve that goal, and a possible time frame of when this goal is going to like come into completion. We're going to put your little toe ring babe there. Like I said, I was really getting like a beachy vibe for this group. And maybe it's just the current vibe of as I'm recording, but for some reason toe rings are getting me that like early 2010s or early 2000s and 90s like Y2K vibes. So maybe that's something else that you vibe with in this group. Like I said, maybe you've gotten a pedicure recently. I am feeling like you guys are gunning to go outside a little bit more, maybe sit in the sun, but I'm also hearing like while you are outside, take that as an opportunity to start grounding. And maybe that's part of the reason we got the toe ring here, because I'm feeling like maybe Even if you're afraid to mess up that pedicure, it's time to like let your feet touch the ground. Like, I'm talking like we're taking off our shoes, we're taking off our socks, and we are meeting the grass with our toes. Some of you guys, I think, have already been doing that a little bit more. For the others of you guys, don't be afraid to get a little dirt under the nails. Just get a scrubby and scrub it out later. But I think some of you guys could really use some, like, beachy vibes. I'm talking feet in the sand, do a little swimming, do a little tanning. I think this group just needs, like, a little bit of a vacay, for sure. So take that however it resonates. Maybe you are on vacation as I'm recording this right now for some of you. If you are on vacation, are you somewhere by an ocean or a body of water? I'm very curious. But for others of you, I'm already feeling like this is a call to take a vacation. Maybe you have some money stashed aside that you've been waiting for a rainy day, or maybe you've been looking for something to plan. I'm saying beach vacay all the way. All right, but let's get straight into the reading here. Let's figure out what is your vibe currently. We're going to do these cards, I think, a little one by one today. So what is your current vibe kind of like? I don't know, should I have the shuffle in here? Or you can hear it enough off screen, right? I don't know. I have the camera a little close to the table today. We're trying something new. Let's see what pops out. What is your current vibe? So for this group, your current vibe is coming out as the Six of Swords. This Six of Swords kind of makes me feel like you guys have been getting over some heavy shit. And I think of it as like, I'm hearing trauma. So I feel like recently, let's start off with like showing the scene here. So in this scene here, we can see that she is coming from these tumultuous waves and she's being pulled by these crows here. And we're also noticing these other crows in the background. What I'm kind of getting the vibe of from this card is we're seeing the waves as emotion, as turbulence, as, I'm hearing paranoia and fear. So I feel like recently you have done a lot of trauma healing, whether consciously or subconsciously. It feels like you have had to ride out these heavy, heavy waves that have been pulling you whichever way and fro. And it was to the point where it felt like you were in the middle. I'm also hearing eye of storm, so maybe within that time there was like a bit of peace before the waves kind of came through again. But I'm getting this image of like you were tossed along the waves, you were tossed in this like chaotic scene, like not knowing if you were going to be able to stay afloat on your boat. Everything was rocking back and forth. You may have fallen capsized a couple of times, but we're at this point now where regardless of like, there's exhaustion on her face, there is this grief, I feel like here. But I don't think it's as much of, maybe for some of you guys this is grieving of a person, but I feel like for a lot of you guys this is more of like a grief of what was, or what could never be, if that makes sense. Under the guise of like, when you grow up as like a child who has to go through traumatic experiences and you have to grow up very quickly as a kid, it almost feels like you missed out on a lot of opportunities because of that survival mode that you were in. And for some of you guys, this could have leaked up to teenage years and adulthood and throughout early adulthood, where you're realizing a lot of the opportunities that you missed out on in the past because of the position that you were in at the time, because of the mentality or because of the situation that you were put into. Like I said, if you don't feel safe, you're going to end up in a survival mode of sorts. And I feel like throughout re-experiencing for some of you guys, maybe this was flashbacks, like I said, maybe this is journal entries that were like bringing up old situations that you had been in, old traumas. Through a lot of this, there is this grieving process that it feels like you are currently going through, where it's like letting go of these things that you did not have an opportunity to experience because of where you were at the time. But I feel like this is to set you up to make up for those experiences in a way. Not to say that, like, you know, you're not going to be able to be 5 years old again, right? And that means that you're probably not going to be able to experience a lot of the things that you didn't get to at 5 years old. But you can experience a lot now, and there are some ways that you can make up for that, if that makes sense. Like, I get this image of, like, this little girl who really wanted a Barbie doll so bad, this specific Barbie doll, and then like as an adult she goes on eBay and she finds that specific Barbie doll she wanted when she was a kid. And like I said, it's not always going to feel the same way, but I feel like if you don't have an experience like that you feel like you can make up for, this is kind of setting you up so for the rest of your life, for where you're at now, you don't bypass these experiences because of a certain mindset or because of certain fears and traumas that you had been through. Like, you are breaking out of survival mode is what it feels like. And I think with the birds that we see here, this could be spirits that follow you, or this could be people within your life. I do think for a lot of you, these do symbolize people in your life, because it feels like, you know, we have a couple of people here that are pulling you forward, pulling you out of these traumatic experiences, pulling you out of these flashbacks, helping you as you grieve from this healing that you've been doing. But at the same time, it's also felt like because of this experience, because of this healing, you've also had to part ways with quite a few people as well, which I think is where we get these birds in the background here that are going a separate way. Like I said, if it doesn't feel like this resonates to people in your life, this could be specific spirits that you've had around you as guides. I do think for the more intuitive group of you that are listening to this right now, you kind of understand what I'm saying by that, where it feels like maybe an energy has shifted, or it feels like a loss or a gain of different energies around you. I am kind of getting this vibe, though, back to, like I said before, there was this ask that if you're going to be outside so much, whether it be having fun or tanning, sorry, I'm moving my chair up a little bit here, that there's a little bit of grounding that is asked to be involved here. I see with, like, the red coat that cloaks her, what's going to help you kind of find your ground and more serenity when you do feel like you're being pulled back into those waves, or it does feel like something is going to line up with something you've been through before, to ground yourself in whatever way that feels like it works for you. For some people, it's going to be journaling. For some people, it's going to be movement, maybe going to the gym, maybe going for a run, maybe just sitting on the lawn and touching the grass, maybe going for a walk, maybe breathing exercises, whatever helps you ground and find home and comfort and stability back within your body again. That's going to help you through these times. I'm also noticing the baggage she's carrying here. And rather than the traditional term of baggage, though I do think you carry... Okay, this makes sense to me now. So it is the traditional term of baggage, but it's with purpose, because you are carrying it with you out of the water and onto the land. So after a lot of this healing that you've been through, a lot of this... I'm hearing for some of you guys, it's coming back to independence in a certain way. I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more throughout the reading. But carrying of this baggage is kind of helping you. It's almost like the memories that were unlocked, but now that you've felt through them or you've worked through them, you're carrying it with you so you can transmute the energy. And I'm sorry if that sounds a little cuckoo or cliche, but it's under the guise of like alchemy. I feel like some of you guys might understand what I mean by that, but if you don't understand, it's essentially taking as far as I understand it. Now, this is like a couple months before I'm going to post this, so hopefully I can do a little bit more of research on alchemy by then, but to put it in basic terms as I understand alchemy, it's taking something and transmuting that energy. Because energy is not created or destroyed, it's simply transmuted. It's turning it into something, when we're talking about alchemy in this way, it's turning it into something that's more beneficial. I think that art is one of the simplest ways to explain alchemy. And that's kind of what is showing to me within this picture here. I also saw 1010 just a second ago, so maybe you've been seeing 1010 recently as an angel number. With that, I'm kind of feeling like this, taking a chance on something, new beginning vibe. A lot of newness and untapped energy here. But going back to the baggage we have, I feel like you are carrying these memories now. When these memories start to spark up, because it doesn't feel like it's going to take you into those waves as heavy as it did before through the initial healing, this feels like it is being asked of you to find a way to use this. For some of you guys, like I said before, with the grounding situation, it could be as simple as like going to the gym. You know, all of a sudden you're feeling anger from an old situation, so you find yourself lifting or going for a run. For others of you guys, I think it does delve into that creativity aspect where it's, you know, can you pour out how you're feeling from this situation, or can you tell the story of this situation through a painting or a poem? And I do think for a lot of you guys, this does deal a lot more with your throat chakra, is kind of what I'm feeling here, where it's like, maybe some of you guys get into motivational speaking a little bit. Maybe some of you guys are into the idea of like doing a TED Talk, or maybe self-help is a department that you kind of wanted to get into. Whatever feels like it resonates to you. But I feel like once I started talking about the alchemy and the baggage and the transmutation, I think you kind of understood where I was going with it already. But I think that's pretty much what I'm picking up on here for your current energy. So we're going to take this card back and we're going to get into what is the goal that either you have or your team of energy, whether it be God, universe, spirit guides, angels, ancestors. Okay, already we have 3 cards that want to come out here. So this is the goal set. And I think that I'm kind of getting this idea that maybe this is a goal that they've set for you, but you also have for yourself. Let's see. So we have the Lovers in reverse, the 5 of Swords in reverse, and the 6 of Wands. And we're going to start here with the 5 of Swords in reverse because I just went to the book to get a refresher on the possible meanings of this card. One of them being that there are no true winners. And I think when paired with Lovers in reverse, there is this idea of there was some sort of dynamic with potentially just one other person. For some of you guys, maybe it was more than one other person, but it felt like, I feel like in hindsight, it feels like a toxic connection, but maybe it didn't always feel that way. And there was and there is for some of you a letting go that had to happen here, but also this like coming down from vengeance is what I'm hearing. So maybe for some of you guys, this person may have hurt you, or you hurt this person and it became I'm going to say person, but like I said, this could be like a friend group, multiple people. It just feels like a dynamic where there was a lot of like each person within the dynamic was trying to find a way to win. And there like fakeness ensues from that, like everybody's trying to climb to the top. I'm getting like the image of like the 5 of Wands, if you know what I'm talking about, where it's like a bunch of people are using the wands to like climb on top of each other and try to get to the top. There is this sense that you had to let go of this mentality, or this ask to let go of this mentality. I think this is something that we're coming out of currently, because with the 6 of Wands as the end here to explain the goal, it's almost like your goal here is to let go of these competitions, or let go of these repeating cycles with other people in order to bask in the spotlight is what comes to mind. You're letting yourself be seen in some way here publicly. And maybe for some of this has to do with like going back with the trauma idea that we were talking about before. Maybe this is a parent wound that you've had to work through, where it felt like a family member or a friend of yours would keep, I say parent wound as like a knee-jerk thing, so I do think for some of you guys this is like a parent would bring you down with this, but this could also be a friend or another family member where it felt like they were in ways belittling you, or trying to tell you that you couldn't do what you thought you could, almost like trying to keep you humble or trying to give you reality checks. And I think that the goal that is being asked to work through here is to recognize that like you are the universe's favorite. But the reason you get what you desire is not out of this like imposter syndrome mentality that you've been telling yourself, where it's like you're just a random pick, why do I deserve this? It's more of you put in the work. So you deserve to enjoy the spotlight and enjoy the reward that comes from putting in the work. I want to get what is the goal that either you've set for yourself and the unseen forces kind of want to see you achieve, or maybe this is something that God, the universe, spirit guides, angels, ancestors, whatever you believe in, have set for you. Let's keep that toe ring in frame. Let's see what comes out here. What is the goal set? Sorry, I should probably... I just have it so close to the desk. Okay, Four of Cups. We're going to take the bottom of the deck here as a clarifier with the Nine of Wands. Here, I'm going to take the whole deck out of here. I'm going to take the Nine of Wands. And I do notice that under the Nine of Wands is the Six of Wands, which I do think is going to be helpful. We'll come to her as we need. Simply enough, I think, especially with the addition of the Six of Wands back here, you know what, we will keep her up here with the rest of them. I'm hearing allowing yourself to be seen. This feels, for lack of a better term, more like a self-help goal than it does a project or an achievement that you can tangibly find. I mean, I feel like there's going to be tangible results in the achievement, but this feels like internal work more than anything. Starting with the Nine of Wands here in the middle, it's in reverse, and it talks about opening up a little bit more, letting down your boundaries, allowing people, like I said, there's this underlying tone here of allowing yourself to be seen. And I feel like there is a dynamic, I'm hearing people pleaser. And I think that's kind of going along with the story of the Four of Cups here. We're going to get into this in a second. But there is this need to not knock down your walls entirely, but I'm seeing you like in this tower without any ladders, any stairs, or any way to get up to you. It's like you are locked in the highest room of the tallest tower without any way to reach you. And like you're shouting down from the tower to your friends that are kind of around it, if that makes sense. Like this is the kind of scene that's playing out. And this to you is connection. I say that because I feel like this group has, A, maybe some of you guys have some people-pleasing tendencies, or B, maybe you're just a little more shut in and to yourself. I think this group has a tendency to keep people at arm's length, at the very least. Some of you guys, I think, don't even keep people that close to you. Cards very close to your chest, a very, like... I think you get I think you're picking up what I'm putting down with that. But there's this ask here for you to be seen. And I think this is something that you've been working on for quite a while now, or something that you've known kind of needed to change for a while, but now you are seeing more of a result of that. Like I said earlier, I think you've been working through a lot of these traumas and these situations that kept pulling you back into this fear mentality. And it was to the degree where your coping skills for your modern, like, connections, relationships, friendships, whatever that may be, was in result of some of the things that you had learned through different experiences that you'd been through growing up. Whether that be, like, a backstabbing friend that you had to deal with. So then you take that trauma with you into your next relationship and you find yourself keeping people at more of an arm's length. 1919 on the clock. The sun will come out tomorrow, babe. Sorry. But it's, for some of you guys too, I think this does trace back to maybe how you were raised and the dynamic that you had with your family where you didn't really feel like you could open up or trust, or maybe it was a little chaotic at times, a little turbulent. Regardless, I'm seeing the goal here as like, I'm hearing discernment. Okay. Let me see if I can, like, straighten my thoughts and articulate myself well before I go off into all these tangents. So with the Four of Cups, I'm hearing this idea of discernment, which I think goes to those of you that have either people-pleasing tendencies or maybe politeness feels like a better term for you, especially for my Midwest babes out there. Yes, there's a lot of politeness that we have in the Midwest. Politeness doesn't always mean kind, and it doesn't always mean real, though, either. I think for a long time, it was more of this mentality for some of you guys where if somebody approached you and somebody wanted to create a connection with you, you would kind of do it just under the guise of, like, appeasing them out of the politeness, out of the goodness of your heart. But that doesn't always mean that these relationships and these connections felt like they jived with you or your vibe, so to speak. So there's this idea with the Four of Cups card coming through here where you're kind of learning discernment, where she's refusing these empty bowls here because she knows that these don't jive with her vibe. But the moment that she realizes that she's, like, not connecting with these bowls and she's kind of pushing it aside, like, hey, this doesn't really jive with me anymore, I'm ready to let it go, this new bowl is presented to her that does fit her vibe, that has the things that she's been waiting for. And that's not to say that you need to like start kicking out everybody that's in your life. Like I said earlier, with your current energy that we were looking at, it does look like there's already a split where you're kind of feeling more of that, what's the word I'm looking for? Where it kind of feels like there's more distance already in some connections that maybe you used to jive with, or maybe you used to like force to fit, kind of letting those go naturally rather than trying to reel these people or these connections back in, if that makes sense. And, you know, handling them accordingly with communication, you know, as they present themselves. There's no harm in, you know, growing apart from people. And as long as you treat it in the way that you would hope somebody would treat you, or you handle it with grace and kindness and honesty, that's really all anybody can ask. You know, if it doesn't fit anymore, it doesn't fit anymore, and there's no point in forcing things to fit. With the tree in the background here, for some reason, this is giving me like family lineage vibes. I'm also getting, for some, like, maybe some of you guys will jive with this like farmhouse image that I kind of have in my head. I just have this idea that like there is some sort of familial healing you're doing with this, generational curse healing, so to speak, when it comes to this kind of thing. Because like I said, letting go of these connections, or having the discernment to not create these connections that don't feel like they fit with your vibe. And that's not saying that like if someone doesn't fit with your vibe, you have to be a dick to them and tell them to go fuck off. It's more of like, you know, creating meaningful connection with people you feel like you vibe with, and remembering that it's okay to just have acquaintances. Not everybody has to be your friend, kind of thing. But I feel like this mentality is something that you're kind of healing through your bloodline, if that makes sense. Nine of Wands in reverse, we already kind of talked about, is telling you to kind of release these rigid boundaries you have a little bit more. And that's when it comes to the people that do feel like they have a rainbow in a cup to present to you. The ones that do feel like they're connecting with your vibe and they're divinely guided in your life, like magic. These are the people that you should be able to lean on. There's an ask here for you to, you know, utilize your support systems, to ask your friends for help, to be there for them and let them be there for you. I think this is a bit of a two-way street that you've kind of been closed off from for a while. I'm getting like this image of under construction. It's closed off. You're going to have to find a different way around. And I think, like I said, it's as simple as just, you know, taking it one step at a time to, when you are upset, maybe reach out to somebody, see if they have anything to offer you for advice, or maybe just hanging out with them for a while. Even if they don't have any advice or anything to offer you, sometimes it's nice to just get our mind off of a situation for a little bit and hang out with a good friend. Same when it comes to family members, or for some of you guys, this could be coworkers as well, learning to, you know, deliberate jobs a little bit easier in the workforce rather than taking it all on for yourself. And also asking for support in other ways too. Like if you are working on a specific project or something with your job you want to promote, asking other people around you to help you with promotion, networking a little bit. You don't have to do it all on your own. And that kind of leads us also to the Six of Wands, where it feels like these are more with your personal connections. There is also an ask for you to let yourself be seen to the general public in the world. And I feel like this is something you've been working on for a while. I think for some of you guys, you are very aware of the facades that you can put on at times, the politeness or the people-pleasing that comes out through you. This is an ask to let yourself be as authentic to you as you possibly can. And of course, you know, different people get different varying degrees of who we are, but rather than agreeing with somebody for the sake of keeping the peace or dressing in a certain way to fit with a certain crowd, allowing yourself to experiment a little bit more with letting yourself be seen and be heard. I think for some of you guys, for some of you guys I heard posting. So maybe this is posting more on your social media or posting more on a specific app. And for others of you guys, like I said, this is simply being seen out in the public, being seen within your friend groups, your family, the people that you love, just allowing more authenticity to kind of bleed through here. I think that's pretty much what we have for the goal. Now let's see what we need to achieve that goal. see some specific cards coming through for achieving that goal. Although I feel like we've kind of talked about it a little bit. I just get this vibe there might be a little bit more coming through here to explain what else we can do to achieve said goal. Let's try. Ooh. Cards are being a little stubborn today. Okay, perfect. Justice, Queen of Pentacles in reverse. This to me is just screaming shadow work. I feel like most of you that have come across this are familiar with shadow work. If you're not, a little brief rundown. If you're interested in exploring more about shadow work, I would highly recommend, first off, searching a little bit about the psychologist. I'm pretty sure he was just a psychologist. I could be wrong. In the psychology field, his name is Carl Jung, J-U-N-G. He did a lot of research when it comes to shadow work, but shadow work is basically the suppression and repression of these behaviors, impulses, and thoughts within ourselves that we don't want the rest of the world to see. These kind of behaviors and ideas that we feel a lot of shame or embarrassment around. It can be as simple as like saying something cringy to your friends and ruminating about it for the next week, or as something deep as an impulsive urge that we're trying to hide from the rest of the world. You know, as simple as like embarrassing to truly like, I don't know, I can't think of the word right now, shit. Anyway, I think you get what I mean. Point being, there's some heavy shadow work vibe coming through here. I'm also hearing, and I do usually hear it with this Justice card, but I feel like there's a lot coming through here with this. I'm hearing Sword of Truth. And for some of you guys, your sword is your pen. It is time to use your pen. I feel like this is a call for some of you guys that have been ignoring the shadow work. Hi, baby girl. This one's for you. Let's take out that Sword of Truth. Let's go do some journaling. This is basically like the timer just went off and said, hey, baby, it's time. I know that you've been like, this might not be time. It's time, baby girl. But yeah, with this image here, there is this, basically what you're being asked to do within the Justice card here is more of that acceptance and loving your shadow further, because a little bit of a misconception is when we do shadow work, a lot of people think that it's like, oh, I recognize this part of my shadow, I will not allow it to come out anymore. Not necessarily what is being asked. I'm going to give you an example here. A shadow trait could be codependence, right? And I feel like for sometimes that's why we go on the opposite spectrum of like hyper independence, because we fear the codependence. For other people, that's just how they are. Hyper independence is their dynamic. But the example for codependence here is maybe you've been noticing how much you cling on to your friends, etc., etc. You take notice of this behavior, and because you're feeling shame, you're trying to suppress it. Now, you can recognize that part of your shadow and still have the ability to suppress it rather than working through it. If you suppress it, it is likely that it's going to manifest in other ways. You know, we do not create or destroy energy, we merely transmute it. The shadow work involved would be recognizing this behavior, recognizing why we display this behavior, where it stems from, and then finding coping skills and loving ourselves enough to redirect that behavior. Not into hyper independence, but into loving ourselves deeper. Like, say you find yourself very codependent when you're going through situations of trouble. And obviously this is not to say like leaning on your friends for support, that's fine. But say you find yourself like really clinging on to people and constantly needing their validation when you're in these anxious spirals. What's going to be best is finding a way to cope yourself before you allow yourself to like get into that codependent spiral. If this is making sense, I'm hoping I'm not butchering what I'm saying. But it's like, rather than suppressing this urge to go ask your friend for help, it's more of sitting down, having that conversation with yourself like, hey, I feel anxious. I feel like I need that outside validation right now. What can I do for myself to feel more secure within this moment? And a lot of times, like I said, it starts with finding out where that behavior comes from. Maybe you were bullied a lot as a kid, so you find yourself seeking validation from other people because you keep hearing that voice of that bully in your head. Well, then it's sitting down with that voice of that bully in your head that has continued to go with you and stay with you for these last couple of years, decades, however long it is, and remind yourself that their voice is not the truth. That your validation is just as important, if not more important, than the validation from others. Like I said, probably butchered this little bit of a shadow work example scenario, but do your own research on the rest of it. That is all my brain will expend for me today. But yeah, going back into that, needing to achieve is a little bit of shadow work here. And with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, I do think for some of you guys this does talk about finance. But I think for a lot of you guys, this is more of like, you aren't spending enough on yourself. Maybe put aside a budget for some fun. Like I said, some of you guys could use a vacation, could use a planning vacation. I think for some of you guys, this is a call to spend a little bit more money on yourself if you have the ability to or the funds to. For others of you guys, it is the opposite end of the spectrum. We need to figure out better ways to spend our money or better things to spend our money on. We did this a little careless recently. But the main message of the card here is talking about, once again, grounding. And I think that this feels more like a case-by-case scenario where when we're talking about, you're in the thick of it, you're in the middle of a conversation with a friend, grounding as you're having these conversations, grounding as you're hanging out with your friends, especially when you feel these little anxieties stem up or these triggers from traumatic experiences you've been through in relationships and connections, etc., to ground within that moment and find your stability to remember you are safe where you're at now. And especially if you know that the person you're talking to is safe and you're having these anxieties, to remind yourself that this person is safe. And also, even if you're confused and you don't know whether or not to trust certain people, reminding yourself of your resilience. You have been through so much worse before. You have been through shit before, and you've come out of it not only alive, but thriving. And you will continue to, no matter what is thrown at your way. I'm hearing that for a lot of you guys, you need to remember that the universe would not give you more than you can handle, if that makes sense. Not to diminish what you're going through, but I do think because sometimes we let our mind kind of run wild with what could be going on or what could get worse and blah, blah, blah. Just a reminder that I don't think the universe would give you more than you can handle. But yeah, summing it up, there's an ask to achieve here. A little bit of shadow work, and a little bit of grounding. Those are the main things. So what can you do right now? A specific task for right after you finish this video, or right after you finish whatever you have to do at this moment. What are you being asked to do right now as a step to implement forward in this little, journey we're going on? Try this again. Just give me half the deck. I'm not taking half the deck. I'll take these two. We have the Knight of Wands and the Eight of Pentacles. Immediately I heard have fun, get creative, and I saw 3434 as I paused the video real quick to take a drink of my, we'll call it my special juice. No, it's just an energy drink. It's part of the reason I'm so peppy today. And maybe some of you guys, if you've had an energy drink today, this is a call out that you need to dance. You need to shake your ass. I saw 3, 4, 5. Now I saw 3, 4, 5, 6 as I'm saying this. So this is specifically for you. You had an energy drink today. I need you to shake your ass. Whether that be on a dance floor, in your bedroom, in your backyard, you need to dance today and have fun. Listen to some good music and just let your body move. Don't care who's watching. Don't care what's going on. Just enjoy yourself. Let your body intuitively move and groove to the songs that you enjoy. But I think that what is being asked of you right now currently, with the Eight of Pentacles here, this is going back to that alchemy that we were talking about before. Especially with the Knight of Wands, I think for a lot of you guys, this is creative alchemy or something that stems your passion, that gets you energetically going. You are being asked to do that. I think before you watch this video, if not for all of you, then most of you, you might have had an episode that kind of reminded you of some trauma or brought you back into those waves or felt like those waves. You are being asked now to take that feeling or take those memories and turn it into something else. Like I said, this could be creating art for the sake of creating art, for getting these feelings out. This could be movement with your body. Like I said, if you had an energy drink today, you have to shake your ass. That I don't make the rules, I'm just saying. But like I said, this is simply, I think for some of you guys, this is a project that you've already been working on, or you've already had your sights set on to start. You're being asked to start that now. But whatever it is that you want to do that fuels you with passion, fun, and for a lot of you guys, creativity, that is what you are being asked to do as soon as we're done with this video, or as soon as you're done with whatever task you have to do after this video. I think some of you guys are watching this on like a lunch break or something. Hi, thanks for wasting your lunch break on me. Oh my god. But also, for some of you guys, I do get this most of the times that I get this card, but I'm going to echo it again. For the Eight of Pentacles here, we can see like the moon kind of working here, and we see a lot of spell work she's doing. Some of you guys are being asked to do some sort of spell work, and with the Knight of Wands here, I'm thinking some sort of burning ritual, and I get this image of a bonfire and like burning paper, like writing a letter, burning the paper, and then dancing around the bonfire. I think for some of you guys that have like a little coven or a little witchy group, that's a great idea to like plan and get together with everybody to do like a releasing or burning ritual of sorts. But yeah, ritual, spell work, creativity, passion, fun, enthusiasm. I feel like that's pretty much summed up there. So let's get this final message here of what is the time frame? I feel like to a degree there is some point where we're going to see more of the growth come through. I thought these were going to be more tangible when it came to the accomplishments, but since this is more of an internal accomplishment, let's see what comes through with the time frame here. Maybe this is like more peaceful connection. Maybe this is like a leveling up of sorts that we're waiting to see here. What is the time frame that comes through here for this? I don't know really how to, we'll figure out how to interpret it once the card comes through. What is the time frame? General question. We'll figure out interpretation afterwards. I'm also hearing for some of you, either you're either one way or the other here, where it's ask for forgiveness or ask for permission. Whichever way you are on that, like, we'll call it a spectrum here, you know, because it's like, do now, ask for forgiveness later, or ask for permission before doing. Whichever way you are in the spectrum, you're being asked to flip for a specific situation that might be popping up soon. Just to like, I don't know, I feel like you're gonna get a gut feeling when it happens, just to like see the other side? I don't know, we'll see. The Tower. The time frame here is the Tower, and we'll take the bottom of the deck energy here with the Ace of Wands. Ace of Wands always makes me think of summer or fire sign energy. So for some of you guys, if you're not watching this, okay, if you're watching this in the beginning of summer, this feels like the end of summer. If you are watching this at any other point of the year that's not summertime, I'm talking like, we'll say September through May or September through April, then this is going to be somewhere around the height of summer, like the heat of summer. I think for some of you guys, this feels like August. But otherwise, I'm just getting like fire sign energy. We're talking Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo. So fire sign energy, depending on where you're at now, I'm feeling like the next fire sign season. So like if you find yourself watching this in March, this feels like Aries season. If you're watching it in June, this feels like Leo season. If you're watching it, and I can't think of if you're watching this in like October, Sagittarius season. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, it's taking me a minute here. But the time frame feels like an epiphany of sorts. Almost like there's a moment that you're going to sit there. I think you're going to be with your friends, either that or you're leaving a situation with a special someone, or like from seeing a special someone or from seeing your friends. This feels like either a ride home in the car by yourself or a ride home in the car with somebody that you really care about, either a special someone, best friend, family member, whatever. And it's going to be just a moment where your heart feels full and you're really reflecting on the change. By that I mean like who you were before you started implementing this transition and this change in how you adapt in relationships and how you connect with people. And then now. Like this feels like you remember something from a couple years ago that just didn't feel right. And then now you were in the moment and you're like, oh my God, no, this feels right. Like this feels like something I've asked for. Like this, I see the change in who I am. I see the growth in the person I've become and in my relationships. So yeah, if I could sum it up one more time, this is going to be, I very strongly feel like you are leaving a hangout of some sort. Maybe it's a date for some of you. Maybe this is just a hangout with family or friends. And this feels like it feels like one of the fire seasons that we have. Like I said, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. You're going to have this moment where it's like, I see it now. I feel it. I feel this achievement. And it's just going to feel like gratitude and love. Anyway, I think that's pretty much all I have for you today. I had a lot of fun reading for you. I hope you had a lot of fun going through the reading with me. I post pretty much bi-monthly, so like I post twice a month on my page. If you are interested in subscribing, hopefully there's another reading I have currently or one that's coming up that will also click with you. But if you are interested in a personal reading, please check out the link in the description below. Check out my website, book a reading. Would love to work with you. But if nothing else, thank you so much for staying for the reading. I have one more tidbit. Oh my God. You're either a 42 person, where 42 is the answer to life, universe, and everything itself, or you are a 6-7 person, and I hated that I had to do that. But something had to come through right now to say that. There's going to be some sort of synchronicity coming up with either 42, which I think is Hitchhiker to the Galaxy reference, or 6-7. That's just, it's going to take you by surprise, and it's going to be an indicator. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for staying for the reading. 4, 3, 2, 1 on the clock. Love you so much. You have a great rest of your day, babe. Bye! What's up, Pile 2? How's it going? If you chose this little plastic dot heart piece that broke off of my little gnome keychain dude, or maybe you like the little tidbit that I was talking about in the beginning, then this reading is going to be for you. To reiterate, we are talking about a goal that possibly you have for yourself, but otherwise comes from the universe, God, spirit guides, angels, ancestors, whatever forces you believe are working in your favor right now. That's kind of where this goal is coming from, that's being set up for you, and I'm pretty sure you are set to achieve within this lifetime, and you can take that as a threat if you would like. But looking at this little pendant here, this little pink sparkly heart, I don't really subscribe to divine masculine, divine feminine anymore, but I do remember seeing a video not too long ago that was talking about if you do identify as feminine presenting of some sort, or you're just in tune with your feminine side, you could be the most mask motherfucker to exist. You could be the manliest man with his musky, manly muskness. I'm just thinking with like this pink vibe that we're getting through, it reminds me of that video that was talking about when you surround yourself more with pink. It's almost this subconscious surrounding yourself with pink as this way that like to prove that you are healing more of your femininity. And I think for this group, what that could mean is maybe you are more in touch with your emotional world. Maybe you're more in touch with what femininity means to you specifically right now. I do think for a lot of this feels more like for a lot of you, this could just be a receptive, emotional, and creative energy that we're kind of falling back into. This receiving gifts from people that we love without this second guessing ourselves, more with gratitude than with this, oh my God, you didn't have to, I'm so sorry that you felt like you needed to, but more of like a, oh, thank you so much for thinking of me, I really appreciate this gift that you gave me kind of light. Or this, like I said, this emotionally in tune energy where we are feeling our feelings and instead of trying to stifle them or outrun them, we are just vibing with them. But I think for a lot of you guys, this is whatever femininity means to you. For some of you that just came out, for some of you that just came out, welcome to Girl World. I do think maybe we have some trans femme friends here that are falling more into their identity and opening up a little bit more in that way. I'm also getting the vibe that we have some like heavy lesbianism possibly within this group. But that's, like I said, that doesn't have to resonate. That's just for some of you that are coming through here. But whatever femininity means to you, if you find yourself wearing more, coloring with more, or just adorning your life with more pink recently, I think that's you stepping into more of a balance with this energy and accepting of this energy in your life. And I will backtrack one more time to say, for some of you guys, I think this is feminist healing, for lack of a better term. I think some of you guys are on your feminism shit, on your feminism journey, recognizing just how much misogyny and these patriarchal ideals have kind of been instilled within our lives, and how much more we can feel open once we break out of these mentalities that do not serve us in these cages that it feels like socially we are guarded into. I also have some of my non-binary friends here. Welcome to the party. I think some of you guys are just coming out as well. Even the trans men. I'm not going to neglect anybody here. 3, 4, 5 on the clock. I just feel like some of you guys have come out recently, and I'm giving you congratulations on that. I don't know why it's coming through. I'm so sorry. And if you are offended by any of the statements that I've made, fuck you. We're all inclusive here, so you can get the fuck off my page. LGBT all the way, all little knickknacks of the rainbow. Does not matter how you identify, how you present yourself, your skin color, your race, whatever. You are accepted here as long as you are accepting of others and respectful as well. Tolerance is a must, and love is appreciated. Anyway, sorry for that little bit of an intro there. I'm also getting that some of you guys have really been like adapting sparkles into your style. For some of you guys, that's just your makeup. For other of you guys, you've just bought a pack of sparkle gel pens or sparkle crayons or some sort of sparkly artwork thing. And for others of you guys, it's sparkles you're incorporating in your wardrobe or in the things that you enjoy. Like I said, in the beginning, if you resonated with this group, you've probably been getting into, or there's a high chance you've been getting into these little bead dot things. Yeah, take it all as it resonates. Silver might also be a prevalent color for you guys, but I feel like I could spend hours diving into these little things that are coming to mind. So let's just get straight into the reading here. Like I said, we are getting into what goal has been set for you, either by yourself or by whatever forces you feel like are working in your favor. Sorry, one more thing I'm coming through here is like roses, red roses, pink roses, but just roses specifically might resonate with you guys for some reason. And for others of you guys, if you're trying to attract something in your life, maybe using like rose essential oil, rose incense, incense, holy fuck, or rose perfume. I'm sorry. What? Anyway. We're gonna jump away from whatever else was going on there, but we're gonna get into your vibe currently to start off with, before we get too deep into this reading. Those are some sign symbols and synchronicities in the beginning that could help you potentially 0606 on the clock, that could help you potentially, like, figure out if this is for you, but to help you figure out deeper if this is gonna be for you, we're going to start off with this card here, with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. Which I feel like is a similar but different than the first group that we got. There's still this ungrounded energy with it. I do want to make a call to the bottom of the deck energy here. I'm stealing this card to kind of help with this message. We have the High Priestess here. And this to me kind of feels like currently you have been on your ego shit, quote unquote. And that's not to scare you or to shame you here. I just think that maybe there is a behavior, mentality, or way of going about things that your soul has kind of been saying does not align with you anymore. And you've been feeling that uncomfortable vibe that's kind of peeking through here. An example that doesn't have to resonate, but to give you an idea of what we're talking about, is maybe somebody who found themselves to be in competition with others quite often. Maybe it's not even something that you would recognize very easily that happens, but maybe every once in a while, like I said, an example, it doesn't have to resonate. You find that like you're at the gym and you see somebody next to you and they have a body that you're kind of striving for, and you find yourself in a mental competition with them where you are lifting the weight that you're currently at. Maybe you have 15-pound dumbbells and you see them with 20-pound dumbbells. So you find yourself a little bit like you're trying, like you want to go get those 20-pound dumbbells to prove to yourself that you can do just as well as them. Or on the flip side of it, maybe you're sitting there with your 15-pound dumbbells and you see the person next to you with 10-pound dumbbells, and it's like, oh, well, fuck them. Look at me sitting here with my 15 pounds working so much stronger. And I'm not saying that even if you were in that position that you'd have like that thought process going through. Obviously, this is these are hyperboles to help you get an understanding of where I'm coming through. I can't speak right now. Which I think is something we're going to delve into in a minute here too. I'm getting some scatterbrain energy with you guys for sure. What I just gave as an example is one example of the way that you might be on your ego shit currently, but the other way that we're kind of talking about is this anxiousness that's coming through here. Like I said, I'm having issues with my own words. I think that there's this like scatterbrain mentality that some of you guys might be going in with as well, where it's kind of this thing to the next thing, everything's pulling your attention, go, 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 not really in the moment, but on to the next consistently. And like I said, these are just examples. Neither of them have to resonate. I think you understand what I mean by that 0909 on the clock. This is a cycle we're closing currently. Like I said, it's something here within the way that you've been going about things or your perspective on something specific that the High Priestess is saying you have been getting an inkling through your vibes that something does not fit or mesh with you anymore with the way that you go about things. And if you can't pinpoint specifically what it is, but you just know that something doesn't feel right, then now is a time to kind of sit in meditation, journal, whichever way you connect to your soul the best. Maybe that's just even like sitting in the car listening to music and seeing what mental music videos come to mind. But whatever it is that you do to connect with your soul, take a step back, take a second, see things as they are, because I do think that this group is very good at seeing things from the third party perspective, so to speak. And I think that's kind of what's being called right now, so you can figure out what isn't meshing in my vibe anymore. Like I said, for some of you guys, it's this anxiousness. For some of you guys, it can be this mental comparison with other people. There are so many different ways that we can take what ego mentality is going on right now, but there is something here. I'm thinking for some of you guys, it has to do with your spending as well. Either you are being too frugal or too spendy. And there is something here too, for some of you guys, if this feels like it resonates, this is not to scare you if this doesn't feel like this resonates, but for some of you guys, if it feels like it resonates, it's time to refinance some shit. It's also time to go back to your finances and rework. Oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? Rework your budgeting. That's what we're looking for. Some of you guys, I think it would be smart for you to ask for help, whether that be an accountant that you have, or maybe you're new to finances, so you have a friend or a family member that can kind of help you figure out budgeting and spending a little bit better. But regardless, that's a message for some of you out there. But I feel like your dreams have been very vivid recently. And if that feels like it resonates, pay attention, maybe keep a dream journal if that's something that, if your dreams have been super vivid and it feels like there's more to them than meets the eye, or you feel like this calling resonates with you, do keep a dream journal, because I think it's going to help you within the next coming months. I think a lot of you guys, with the High Priestess being out here, are very spiritually in tune and connected, and I think your dreams are one way that your spirit guides connect with you. Another way, with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse here, is giving me the sign that maybe it's time to go outside a little bit. At the time that I am posting this, I think this is like the height of the middle of summer, so it would be perfect time to go outside, get some fresh air, get some sun. But depending on when you're seeing this is a timeless reading. It could be really any time that you're exposed to this reading. It's just a call to ground yourself in nature a little bit, even if it's below zero weather with snow on the ground. Bundle up for 2 minutes, sit outside, and see if that helps. Anything else coming through here? I think some of you guys have been neglecting your tarot cards for a little bit. If you're into divination, I should say it's not just tarot cards for everybody. If you're into divination in any sort of way, you're being asked to rediscover your passion for divination at this time. Divination can be as simple as cloud scrying, as intricate as tarot cards. It could be runes. It could be throwing matchsticks, for all I know. I think for some of you guys, maybe you read dice in a way. I think for some of you guys, you're being asked to reconnect with a way that you used to divine as a kid. Maybe at the time you didn't know that you were divining. I'm getting like an image of those like cootie catchers, those those paper fortune tellers from like, grade school where you would you'd draw it and it would I wish I had one on. Oh, I do have one on hand. These little guys. These little fortune tellers? Oh, let's see. I don't have anything written on this one. It's just for like looks purely, but like there's something to do with these, or like I said, some way that you used to divine when you were a kid that you're being called to come back to, or maybe you've seen it in symbolism in a dream or in a meditation recently. What else am I picking up on here? I think there is a disconnect with your body right now, and if you are feeling ill and it doesn't feel urgent, I'm not telling you to neglect any Western medication, I can't think of the term. Western medicine in general. If you feel like you need to go to a doctor, go to a hospital, please do. But if it feels like just basic flu symptoms, cold symptoms, and it's kind of hitting out of nowhere, like you didn't come into contact with anybody that was sick recently, just asking that you take some extra rest at this time. Because I do think that this group is currently going through some sort of ascension process, for lack of a better term. Some sort of quote-unquote leveling up. Or some sort of like, I feel like you're kind of being hit with epiphanies recently. And if you want to continue to flow with this energy rather than work against, there is a lot of grounding that needs to be had at this time, 4, 5, 6 on the clock. I feel like there's a lot of, and it could be just as simple as going outside, but I feel like it's whatever way you can connect back with your body. If you do find yourself to dissociate easily, trying to find ways to feel back in your body again, whether that just be a mental scan head to toe, feeling your eyes, feeling your fingers, feeling what your skin is touching, things like that, or breathing exercises, however that resonates to you. I just think at this time, you are being asked to be extra connected with your body because you are going to be receiving quite a few messages. And I think there's also this ask of like, if you do find yourself having very intense dreams and you want to remember them easier, or you want to be more in tune with them, to create some sort of nighttime ritual to help you fall asleep, but also to stay off your phone as a first thing that you do in the morning, and instead, like I said, dream journal or meditate as soon as you wake up to try to like recall what's going on. I think we've gotten quite a bit into this beginning current energy though. So let's take these cards away and let's shuffle for what is the goal that we are striving for, or the goal that has been set up for us to accomplish. What is this goal? 5 of Wands in reverse. Okay, so I'm going to ask for another clarifier card real quick, because all I basically got from this card is avoiding conflict and some sort of collaboration. So let's see if we can clarify that real quick. Not faltering to conflict or some sort of collaborate. Okay. Hanged Man. Okay. Much like the first group, this doesn't feel so much like an outwards accomplishment or like a tangible accomplishment as much as it feels like an internal self-help, so to speak, kind of accomplishment. This feels like not falling victim to anxious thoughts, to anxious spirals, and to not like be so quick to fight or look for problems, if that makes sense. There is this idea with the Five of Wands in reverse talking about collaboration with others and also avoiding conflict. And when paired with the Hanged Man here, the Hanged Man, if you can tell, just like looking at the image, she looks very still and peaceful. And if you'll notice here, she's got these like ties to her wrist, but it's almost like she's not tied to anything, even with this string hanging off of her. And you'll also notice that she's got this like beam of light that's by her head, which kind of reminds me of like the image that we had earlier with the High Priestess, where there was like this light coming down to her. This also feels like epiphany energy. There's a lot of stillness here. Even though like there's a lot of chaos here with the Five of Wands, that being reversed is kind of like giving me this idea of like the opposite of. And in the Hanged Man here, there's so much stillness within the image. Like maybe there's a swirling pool of water under her, but it's very calm and very like, what's the term? Like consistent with its energy. It's not big waves or anything like that. It's just this very calm pooling. And like I said, even beyond this image of like she's got a light coming at her head, which makes me think of like epiphanies, bright ideas, you know, that image of like a light bulb going off in someone's mind. She's also got these patterns down here, which I believe are runes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure are runes that are kind of sitting here. So maybe for some of you guys, if you've gotten into divination, this is a call for you to get into runes specifically if you're interested. But I do think that we're going back to that idea of like, for those of you that have kind of like stepped away, or maybe you haven't been as connected with your divination recently, there is a huge call here to get back into it. Or maybe this is a call to get deeper into your practice, do more research, check out other venues. I think for some of you guys, you are being called to like learn how to divine without any divination tools. Because as you see here, she's got no tools. These images are just showing up for her. And I'm thinking it's like this automatic receiving of messages, you know, when you're in meditation, or like an automatic writing, cloud scrying, however these feel like they resonate to you. If any of those fit, let me know. But yeah, there's this idea of your goal being, I'm hearing, don't create a mountain out of a molehill. So I think this is a bit of learning how to not self-sabotage in terms of anxious scenarios or when things feel more tumultuous than they are. Because there is a certain degree, like I said, I think you guys are very good at removing yourself from a situation and creating that third-party perspective. Like, if I were to see you and another person in an argument, you'd be able to mentally back out after the argument, or maybe even mid-argument, and see where you played a fault and where this other person played a fault, and where maybe it was a miscommunication more than it was somebody was wrong. And I think that you can do that. I think it's difficult, but you also have the potential to do that when you are in these super, like these scenarios that trigger these anxious thoughts and these erratic or impulsive behaviors. Like I get this idea of maybe this person hasn't heard from their partner in quite a few hours. And now, because they were just talking like there was nothing wrong, and then all of a sudden they stop talking for a couple of hours, they start going with this anxious spiral of, oh, this person is annoyed with me, or this person is cheating on me, or all of these other things are going on. But within the position that we're at now, the goal that we are being asked is to have that third-party perspective, 21:21 on the clock, that we have for other people in other situations, and learn how to have that in these scenarios where we feel like our anxiety is kind of running rampant with us, if that makes sense. So instead of like jumping to these conclusions of my partner is annoyed with me, my partner is cheating on me, learning how to take a step back and remind ourselves from our coping mechanisms that we're learning and have learned before, this is my mind giving me some information because it's trying to protect me here, but that doesn't mean that the information that it has is correct. Because I think I've said this quite a few times, but I'll echo it again for this reading. Our mind is there to help us survive, but what our mind, our brain thinks is survival does not always mean it's the reality of a situation. I kind of equate it to like when you're sitting in your room at night and you see your coat on top of a chair in a certain way and it kind of looks like a monster because you can't really make out the image in the darkness. But once you flick on the light, all of a sudden you notice, oh, that's just my coat sitting funny on my chair. It's similar when we've been through betrayals and traumas and we find ourselves assuming things in these scenarios. Like I said, you assume that your partner is cheating on you or is annoyed with you. You come to find out that your partner ended up having an emergency at work and had to go in and take care of something for a couple of hours. They end up texting you the next hour. Nothing had happened. And then you spent all of that time and energy worrying that something was going to happen when in reality it was just your partner was busy or your partner had something else going on. And yes, that's a very simple scenario when you talk about it, but when you are in the moment, when you are feeling those feelings, I understand it can feel like the end of the world. It can feel so real, because like I said, our mind is set up to help us survive. It's not set up to help us grow or thrive. So there are times when we create, going back to what I said, a mountain out of a molehill. And if you do find yourself self-sabotaging in relationships and creating these tumultuous scenarios, or even if they don't feel that big and it's something that you keep to yourself, I feel like for some of you guys, maybe it is more of like, you'll go up to your partner and you'll be like, oh, who the fuck were you talking to? Who you were cheating on me with for those hours we weren't talking? And for some of you guys, maybe it's more of you internalize that, you remember it, you act like everything's fine, you don't bring it up to your partner, and you just keep like a mental tally and keeping score of these things. So there's like different ends of the spectrum you could be on with it, but I feel like it's a similar message coming through overall. But like I said, I think what we're learning here is to decipher things from that third eye point of view that I know that you can have in most situations and that you can apply here. It's just taking that extra conscious energy and that extra ability to ground yourself when it feels a little tumultuous here. And we're going to get it more into what we need to achieve this energy and what we can do now to start taking our steps forward in just a second. But yeah, I feel like those are the main things that are coming through here. It's finding more peace in every scenario, in every relationship. And I gave like a relationship example, but this can extend to platonic connections as well. And this can extend beyond connections and into like everyday situations, everyday life. You know, this idea of like, you hear a sound in your car, you start to freak out. Oh my God, my car is broken. I need to save, I don't have enough money for a new car. You come to find out that it was just like a $50 to $100 fix. You know what I mean? Like learning how to have that calm and have that peace in situations of strife, because remembering how resilient you are and your capability to overcome things, even if it feels like things are trying to set you back or harm you, but also remembering that things normally work out in your favor if you just allow it to be rather than trying to maintain control. But yeah, let's get into what we need to achieve this goal, this peace and this stability, this trust, I feel like is coming through here. Like I said, I feel like with this trust and this peace, there is a deepening connection with your spirituality, with the unseen things that you believe in, whether you believe in a god or gods and goddesses, the universe, spirit guides, angels, ancestors, or fuck, nothing at all. I feel like there's something though that you are tethered to believe in, that you are, maybe it's just a deeper connection with yourself. But what is needed to achieve this, simply put, very similar to the last group, justice. I did hear karmic scales, which is a little different than the initial message that we'll have going through there, but we'll explore that in a second. Because the first thing that usually comes through for me when it comes to justice is this concept of shadow work. To give you a brief rundown, if you are unfamiliar with shadow work, I would highly recommend looking into the psychologist Carl Jung, that's Jung, Jung. He did a lot of research when it came to shadow work. But to give you a brief description, if you are unfamiliar, shadow work is the idea of looking at the behaviors and mentalities that we suppress and repress within ourselves, and instead working with them and learning how to love them rather than trying to hide them, whether it be for some sort of shame or embarrassment. it can go as simple as a cringy behavior that you don't want other people to see within you anymore, to the intrusive and impulsive thoughts that we bury deep down. Through shadow work, we learn where these behaviors and impulses come from, where these thought processes come from. We work with that, and we learn how to heal and love it rather than suppress and repress it, basically transmuting that energy and that behavior, because energy cannot be created nor destroyed, merely transmuted. So it's learning how to work with that and love ourselves deeper in spite of these things that we might be ashamed of. Rather than, a lot of times, I know I was personally victim to this when I first got into shadow work, looking at the behavior and being like, oh, I don't like that about me anymore, so I'm just not going to be that, which just buries it deeper. It's instead sweeping up the floor and cleaning it up rather than just sweeping it under the rug and making a mountain of dirt under the rug. And I say all that because I feel like this image for this deck is the perfect representation of shadow work. You see her ego, the light side, smiling lovingly down to this evil shadow side here. And I feel like for some of you, I'm kind of getting this idea that this shadow side, well, we know this shadow side is kind of what runs rampant when we use these maladaptive coping skills. If we go back to this idea of we're assuming that our partner is cheating because they haven't talked to us in a couple of hours, the shadow can come out in this scenario as maybe you're sending a bunch of texts over and over, double, triple, quadruple texting your partner, like, where are you? What are you doing? Have fun with whoever you chose to cheat on me with, asshole kind of bullshit. Or the other end of the spectrum, not saying anything. Partner responds a couple hours later and you're leaving them undelivered for hours on end out of spite, and in your mind sitting there back talking and bashing this person. Neither of those are considerably healthy ways to handle the scenario. Now, if you do find that your partner has not communicated after talking in a couple of hours, there is the healthy coping skill of communication, where you can be like, hey, you disappeared for a while, just wanted to see what was up. But also recognizing that, they could say what they were doing, but that doesn't mean that you're going to believe them. And it's that extra layer of work when it comes to, okay, well, I should, maybe not best to ask for validation in every little thing that comes at me. So learning how to be secure enough within myself that A, when I do ask for validation, that's enough for me, I can believe my partner, but also B, having my own internal validation so I don't always need to look for that external validation. I'm hoping I'm making sense here as I'm explaining this. But yeah, a heavy call for what needs to be done to achieve this goal is whatever shadow work kind of comes up within these situations. Maybe taking it a case-by-case kind of thing, where if you find yourself a little more anxious in that scenario, doing the shadow work on the clock, like as it's happening. Or maybe for some of you, it's just some journaling that needs to be done. Maybe you have a little shadow work journal. I know that there's, God, I can't think of who wrote it right now, but I do have a shadow work journal that I bought off of Amazon, or they were also selling them on TikTok Shop. Which is, it's great, especially if you're like first getting into shadow work. It kind of sets you up for the basis, so I would highly recommend looking for it. Like I said, I can't think of who wrote it off the top of my head, but it's this black book that's got, you'll know it when you see it, babe. But there's also this balancing that's being called here, and I think this can kind of tie hand in hand with shadow work. Also, I'm so sorry that my phone has been kind of bouncy today. I'm hoping it's not too annoying with the camera. But there's a balance that's being called here. And I think this is more of when we get into this ruminating pattern, this ruminating in behavior. For example, going back to, you assume your partner is cheating on you when they're really just busy. It is going to be so much worse in that scenario if you continue to ruminate and consistently check your phone after you're already going through an anxious spiral to see when they're going to respond to you next, to hyperfixate on what's going on and going through all of these scenarios of what your partner could be doing. I think you are being called that when you find yourself in these anxious scenarios, to balance your attention. It's easier to think of when you find yourself in an anxious, basically divert your attention depending on the scenario. So what I'm kind of getting as a vibe here is like, if you are having some sort of anxious spiral when it comes to, for example, the partner thing we were talking about, you're talking to somebody and they're not responding and your mind is going through all these things. First is sitting there and recognizing how your shadow is popping up here, how these coping mechanisms of this rumination or this running through this mental process of what could be going on is not serving you. And then once you've done the work mentally to kind of recognize like, hey, I'm running with something that probably isn't true. The truth is probably this person is busy, and if they are upset with me, they can communicate with me. It's not my job to double check all of the time to see if somebody's upset with me. Then kind of diverting your attention and your energy elsewhere. So if you're finding yourself anxious because of a connection, maybe after doing the work, diverting your energy to a project that you want to work on, or a TV show, or reading a book. Vice versa, if you find yourself anxious about something you can't control at work and you find yourself ruminating over something there, diverting your attention to your connections and to hanging out with friends. You know, there's like I said, it feels like when something sparks and triggers this anxious energy and these thought spirals that you kind of lose yourself in that scenario, in that situation. You're being asked to slowly pull yourself out of those thought scenarios and divert your attention somewhere where you can find control again. And I think for some of you guys, maybe that's very easy for you to do with like dyeing your hair, cutting your hair, or changing your appearance in some way, tattoos, piercings. And while that's all good and great and fun, and that's fine when we have the funds for it and at the times where we feel called to, there are other places we can divert our attention as well, and that's kind of what you're being asked to do here. For some of you guys, like I said, if you're on the overspending group that we were talking about in the beginning, maybe instead of putting your money somewhere to divert your attention, maybe like doing something tangible and physical with your hands, like making a clay figure, painting a picture, going outside and playing for a little while. Like there are other opportunities, and I think it would benefit you guys to create a list as like think of it as like a coping skill list. Like, if I find myself spiraling and I can't divert my attention and I find myself ruminating, here's a list of things that I can do that give me control again, that teach my brain that I am safe where I am. Am I making sense? Are you hearing me, my friend? I'm so glad. I hope that this part helped. So we're going to get into what can we do right now? Right after you finish 3, 4, 5, 6 on the clock. You guys have been cracking angel numbers like crazy. Like I'll usually put 1 or 2 out within a pile for a video, but y'all have been getting them like crazy, bitch. Anyway, so right after you finish this video, for whatever you're doing, or right after you finish the next thing you have to get done, maybe you're watching me like during a class or after a class or during work, after work, whatever's going on. If you have something you have to do after this, then after what you have to do after this, or just immediately the next moment you have free time, what can you do to take steps forward for this achievement now? That's what we're asking. And this is our second to last question, so don't worry, we're wrapping it up pretty quickly here, but what can we do this instant to kind of help us forward in this achievement? 4 of Swords. I think it's pretty blatant with the energy here that there is rest that is being called. This, for a lot of you guys, is simply like, brother, you need to go home and take a nap. Like, I feel like that's going to help you rest up. And I think within the coming days, if you find yourself tired, don't beat yourself up about it. Especially if you've had caffeine and you're still fucking tired. Your body is telling you to rest for a reason. And I do think that the recharge from resting helps our spirit, our emotions. Like, there's so much even beyond what we know. I want to say, like, tangibly, fact-wise, that I feel like, yes, emotionally and mentally, resting helps, but I also think, like, spiritually, energetically, there's so many things unseen that, like, taking a nap or just a full night's rest is going to help with. And I do think for a lot of you guys, when your body is asking you to rest these days, just let yourself take a nap. But beyond resting even, like, physically resting and taking a nap, I do think for some of you guys it's time to get down and get dirty. I mean that in a soil sense. Although take it as it resonates, leave the rest. But I think for some of you guys, maybe you're plant parents, or this is an ask for you to get into taking care of plants. For those of you that have had the opposite of a green thumb for a long time and you find that your plants die quicker than you've brought them to life, then this is a call to do a little bit more research and a little bit more connection with your intuition when it comes to becoming a plant parent. Because I do think understanding your plants is going to help you understand yourself and the way of the universe a little bit deeper. So I think for some of you guys, it's just buying a plant as is. For others of you guys, I think it's starting from a seed specifically, and seeing what you can do this time around. Because I do think you have a different mentality, and with enough research, you'll find yourself to have a greener thumb than you thought. Some of you guys should be getting into bird watching, or maybe you've had a call to get into bird watching. For others of you guys, there are at least 3 or 4 people that you can lean on to rest with. This could be like hanging out, having a conversation, just a good time with people that you love. I'm also kind of getting, because there's this invisible string, or this red string vibe here. And I don't know if it's something that's coming from this resting that you will be doing, or maybe you're going to have a dream after a nap or after a good night's sleep that it's going to somehow connect you to something to do with red string theory. And that doesn't necessarily mean like we're talking, I do think for a lot of you guys, this is some sort of like divine counterpart energy that we're working with here. But I think this is also red string theory, just like, I don't know, maybe some of you guys are like writing something about red strings, whether it be like a song or a story, or maybe like there is a song or a story that you're reading or listening to that you're being asked to like enjoy or something about that. But there's something about red strings here. Also, I think because this is a nest, it makes me think of home. For some of you guys, if you have a little bit more energy right now, there is some sort of restructuring or reorganizing your home. This could be like maybe reorganizing and restructuring for like a feng shui kind of thing, if you've been getting into that recently, or if that feels like it's kind of like dinging off some bells in your mind. But this could also be like, I think for some of you guys, you haven't really decorated the space that you consider your home. And I'm hearing trauma response. So this could be connected to just like maybe you moved a lot as a kid, or you never really felt safe enough to create a space as your own because you always thought, I don't know. There's just something here about creating your home to feel more like home. Whether that be from decorating or the feng shui that we were talking about. But all of these are different examples of like what could help. I do think for some of you guys though, if you have the finances and you feel secure enough, there might be a new tattoo that you're looking at getting. But yeah, that's kind of all what's coming through for what we can do right now after this video or in our next free moment. With the heart, I do have one more thing here, just like self-care in general. If none of those things seem to resonate with you, or if you're looking for another thing on top of what I just gave you, some sort of like self-care, taking care of yourself right now, pampering yourself. That could be taking yourself out to dinner. That could be skincare. That could be at-home mani-pedi. That could be going out to a spa. However that resonates for you for self-care. And honestly, self-care can be as simple as like sitting in a dark room staring at the ceiling because you don't want to do anything. I do that all the time, brother. But anyway, last one that we're looking at here is a time frame. And it's a similar thing like I said with the first group, where this feels like an internal achievement rather than an external achievement that has like evidence and prizes. So it's going to be weird how it shows up for the time frame, but I had a lot of fun deciphering the time frame for the first group, so I'm excited to see what comes through for you guys. So what is the time frame that we can expect for this achievement, Spirit? What is the time frame we can expect for this achievement? Ooh, so you guys also have the Ace of Wands, but you have the Ace of Wands as your first card, and that is clarified by the 8 of Cups. Okay, hold up. So, like, I will say when I see the little horseshoe, I do think Sagittarius. This is a timeless reading. I am recording this reading as of the absolute end of April, and I think I'm posting it like mid-July. But you could be watching this whenever, so only take what resonates and leave the rest. I just thought I'd give you a time frame so you kind of understand where my mind is at when going through this. Because I do want to say, usually when I see this horseshoe here, I'm thinking like Sagittarius. But for some reason, when I saw these paired together, I was thinking both Aries and Taurus, which makes me think of like April, May kind of vibes specifically. But if we're going through with like, there's a specific moment that came for the last group, so I'm trying to see if it strums up here. And with the Eight of Cups being here, it feels like when you walk away from something, for some reason, when you walk away from something that's meant for you, comes through. Okay, wait a second. Okay. So this feels like when you're reading a story and there's that climax right before the resolution. So it's like the main character makes the mistake right before they turn around, and like it's, to give it an example, it's like one of those airport scenes, you know what I mean, like in a rom-com where the one character is like, I don't know, getting on a plane to leave, and the other character that just realizes that they're in love with them is like chasing them down at the airport and trying to like get to them before they leave. This essence of a moment is what feels like the moment that you recognize just how far you've come, your progress, and that you have achieved this. It feels like walking away from something that serves you, but there's that 1 second of like, no, this is not for me. I can't do this. You know, that second guessing of sorts, that like self-sabotage comes in. But it's like you're walking, then stop. Like a halt, like I'm hearing that like screeching kind of sound when you have like a cartoon character that runs fast and then just stops suddenly. So there's this screeching to a halt. And it's like, oh my god, no, this is meant for me. And there's like this overwhelming excitement, and then there's this adrenaline rush because you have to hurry up and go to the thing and go back to the thing and remind the thing that like, no, this is meant for me. It's always been meant for me, and I see that now. And like I said, it's excitement, but it's adrenaline because you don't want this thing to leave you. 4:32 on the clock. For some of you guys, this could be a person that it happens in the scenario. This could be a job opportunity. This is just, it's something specific. 4444 on the clock. This is something specific that you want. And it's like, I don't know. It feels like, it also feels like kind of the sun is setting. This is either going to happen somewhere around like maybe a sunset or a sunrise, I do think, for some of you guys. But it's this specific moment that you are about to walk away from something, then you recognize that it's meant for you, and you go back and get it, and then you recognize in that moment, you remember that bitch Betha told me that I was going to feel the achievement of this goal, and I doubted her because I thought that the goal was stupid, and I thought the achievement was lame, but now in this moment, it feels like everything's lining up, and my life is a fucking movie. Sorry, I'm like feeling a lot of the excitement right now, on top of like also being like heavily caffeinated. But anyway, if I had to give time frame, once again, I'm feeling strong Sagittarius vibes. I'm feeling like an April, May, Aries, and Taurus vibe. Anything else coming through here? Maybe Capricorn for some of you. Because I am also hearing like New Year's Day, and I'm hearing that Taylor Swift song New Year's Day. Also, if you are a Swiftie, when I saw the red string, I was hearing the song Invisible String. So if these are resonating, let me know, baby. But I think that's pretty much it. I am, at the same time of walking away from something that serves you, maybe you just walked away from something that didn't serve you. And that's what made you second guess if this thing serves you. Like this idea of like, you were given a contract, you read between the lines, you saw the contract was shit, but you were given another contract, and because you thought that the first contract was like there to trip you up, you were second guessing the second contract, and then you walk away before you realize the second contract like actually resonates and wasn't too good to be true, and you go back to it kind of thing. I'm hoping that made sense, but I think I'm done now. Yeah, Christmas and New Year's could resonate very heavily for this group for like time frame wise. I'm also getting this sense of like Trolls dolls. I don't know if you like, I feel like, okay, I kind of had like a confirmation symbol for the other group too when it came to this. So if you find yourself talking to somebody about Trolls dolls, or you see a specific Trolls doll, and I'm talking specifically those like 90s Trolls dolls that are like those little naked babies that like they got the belly button and like their hair kind of resembles this where it's like all up and shit and it's different colors. Something about that specific is going to hit you at a certain point. I don't think super soon. For some of you guys, it could be like very quickly after this video as like a reminder or like as like confirmation. But I do think for some of you guys later on, rather than confirmation, it's going to be a reminder of this video. And when that happens, you're going to be like, oh, damn. I still don't believe it, but I think that bitch Betha had maybe something to say. I can't wait to see how this plays out. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. Your confirmation is those little troll doll thingies. Yeah. I thank you so much for staying for the reading, love. If you are interested in booking a personal reading with me, please check out the link in the description below. Check out my website. I would love to work with you. I also had so much fun doing this reading today, so thank you so much for staying just for that. And if nothing else, I hope to see you in the next one. Love and light, my friend. I'm excited. Come back to this video and let me know how things play out, by the way. If this does resonate, because I would love to hear about your little, like, movie magic moment. Have a good one. If you chose the golden, I want to say, like I said, White Claw tab top, possibly carbless, but I'm pretty sure it's White Claw, then this reading is going to be for you. This pile specifically. Thank you for coming. Maybe you're on a similar vibe to me where you're trying to get Tina tart tonight. Just a little bit. I'm not trying to go crazy with it, but I have a couple drinks, hanging out with my friends. That's my vibe. If you're on a similar vibe, remember, take what resonates and leave the rest. These are just some ideas of what could be going on right now. Also getting kind of a beachy vibe with this group as well, but I think more of like, to be fair, I have been watching Jersey Shore recently, but if you're kind of resonating with like Jersey Shore vibes at all, maybe you've been getting some of like the sounds on TikTok or you've been seeing clips online. Maybe you've also been doing a rewatch. Like, this is my first time going through it, I'm gonna admit, but I am loving it so far. What else we have here? Like I said in the beginning, within the last week, having some sort of White Claw or carbless. I am getting heavy vodka energy if you do drink. If you don't drink, I'm also getting like a tobacco energy, a citrusy vibe with this group. Like I'm feeling like orange juice, grapefruit flavor, lemon flavor, maybe lemonade. What else is coming through? Tea is coming through here. Like not exactly like a hot tea. I'm thinking more of like an iced tea, a cold tea, like a pure leaf or an Arizona tea kind of thing. A sweet tea of some sort. What else is coming through for y'all? I'm also seeing like a gold medal or a gold trophy. For some of you guys, maybe you have like a medal rack or a trophy wall that you have prevalent in your home, or maybe you did growing up. I do think for a lot of you guys, you were sports kids growing up, where even if whether or not you were good at the sport does not matter. I do see like even participation medals. But I think you guys were into sports growing up. Remember, take what resonates and leave the rest. This is a collective message. I'm trying to see if anything else. I'm seeing flip-flops. Like blue flip-flops specifically. If you don't know what a flip-flop is, I think in other parts of the world they call them thongs. No, not the underwear. Yes, the sandal. I'm also seeing like Birkenstocks. And I'm also like a Yeti. Specifically, I'm seeing, like, the abominable Yeti dude that's, like, in Monsters, Inc. when Mike and Sully get banished. And then there's that dude there with his snow cones. And don't worry, it's Lemon when he's talking about the snow cones. So maybe you've seen Monsters, Inc. recently, or you have connection with Yetis, or maybe you have one of those, you know, when you're, like, touring specific places and they have those Believe with the Sasquatch. I'm getting heavy, like, for some of you guys, this could be, like, a bumper sticker on your car specifically. But I also see, like, the keychains and the mugs, so maybe you have something within your home that's got a connection to Bigfoot, Sasquatch in some way. But yeah, that's pretty much, I think, what's coming through for sign symbols and synchronicities that may resonate. Right away within this reading, we're going to get into what your vibe currently is. So if you are still unsure if this fits for you, or maybe you felt a couple of things in there that could potentially be it, but you're not 100% certain, 333 on the clock, we're going to pick up a little bit and figure out some more of your vibe right here in the beginning. But to reiterate, we are figuring out what is a goal that you are destined to achieve, and that is a threat. Something that either you have set up for yourself that you want to achieve within this lifetime, or something that your spirit guides, angels, ancestors, God, the universe, gods or goddesses, whatever you believe in, whatever forces you think are at work, have set up for you. 0404 on the clock. I also feel inclined to let you know that the first two groups didn't really get a tangible goal. By that I mean it wasn't like, moving out of your house or this project taking off and becoming successful. It all felt more like internal self-help vibe kind of goal. But it's been fun and it will be worth the reading, I promise you. So if you are interested, let's stay and figure out what is your current energy. I'm also getting like gold hoop earrings. And maybe it's just because I'm wearing them right now. But if you're also wearing gold hoop earrings right now, 444 on the clock, baby girl, we are on a vibe together. Oh my god. So, Two of Cups wanted to come out. Vibe currently. How are we going to explain with the Two of Cups here? I'm getting kind of harmony is the first word that comes to mind. I'm also getting like diversity. Harmony, diversity. Maybe you've been shaking up some things in your life. Maybe you've been trying new things, trying to incorporate new styles for some of you guys. Friendship bracelets also seem to be important for some, if not all of you. Maybe it's like some sort of symbol recently, or maybe that's just like a little extra nudge that like friendships and connections have been very important to your energy recently. Maybe it's also a call to make a friendship bracelet with somebody to like solidify your connection. And by that I mean you can make it for them, but I think you should make them together. This idea of like, I think even just like harmonious connection and partnerships. Maybe this is kind of blanket statement where all of your connections have kind of felt like they've been peaceful recently, or maybe there's a specific connection where you guys have kind of been mirroring each other, you guys have been a very similar vibe, and it just seems to like keep going up and up and up. But I also get this like hopeful energy and this creative energy, this very like colorful energy with the rainbow here. With the sun kind of rising in the distance here, and you can kind of see it's a little darker over here, but where the sun is, it's a little brighter. I also get this energy that maybe this is you stepping into a lighter and a little happier time after dealing with some shadow and some dark points within your life. And I think maybe some of the connections that you've had within your life. Sorry, my dog's knocking. Just a moment, please. There's something here, I think, too, about a kitchen table or a dinner table. And I'm sorry, I've kind of had to pause a couple of times to come back to this because things have been chaotic in the house right now. And I think that that's part of the message is like, there's been a lot of stuff to do recently, I think, for a lot of you guys. Not really in this, like, so much is happening at once, although for some of you guys it could be. But it just feels like your schedule is full in a way that you're happy with. And I think for a lot of you guys, maybe it's you've been full with a specific somebody, or specific connections, both in a way of like, hey, if you're poly, what's up? You're accepted here too. We love you. But also in a way of like maybe just some really good friendships that you've had, or multiple romantic potential. But I am getting, like I said, it feels like the dawn of a new era after a darker time that we're kind of stepping out of. It feels like introducing a lot of newness to your life in some way. Like I said, there's some diversity at play here. This could be just like new people, new types of people, new activities, new ways of thinking. But it does feel like this is a very connection and partnership heavy part of your life. For some of you guys that aren't quite resonating with that right now, although I do think that basically everybody that's watching it is kind of resonating with that, there is an addition of like soul tribe, but like not incarnated, if that makes sense. If you resonate with this idea that there are like spirits around your energy. I think maybe you're also connecting to like new entities of sorts that are kind of helping you at this point in your life. This feels like a very like social part of your life, a very connection heavy, as I've stated. There's also this sense of like a lot of this is making me think of like paintings and like an artistic point of your life. Maybe for some of you guys, this is kind of like talking about painting your reality, painting the next part of your life where you're like coming up with a different ideas of like, oh, maybe I could like narrowing down where I want to live, or maybe setting up for my dream home. How do I want to build it? Or what career path do I want to go down next? What do I want to learn next? Is there somewhere that I'm trying to travel to? Or like, how do I want to style myself for this next part of my life? Do I want to get a haircut? Do I want to dye my hair? New glasses, all these kind of fun things. Also, there's something to do here about promises, either making or keeping a promise. I'm seeing a ring. I'm seeing 2 rings now, so maybe it's both you and another person, or both you and a couple, or 2 people within your life, making some sort of specific and significant promise to each other, or to you. But there is... trying to see if there's anything else here that I'm missing for kind of like your current energy. It just feels very like... I'm hearing too good to be true. So it's almost like there's this like hopefulness to it that you're not used to. I don't think you guys are used to things being what feels like so easy or things working out so well for you. And I'm kind of picking up on this other message here of like, this little yellow bit in the corner kind of looks like it's... I mean, it kind of looks like these are wings of a bird here, and it's kind of like flying from this, but it's like, that's not what it's intended to be, but it looks like it. So I have this feeling that there's this little bit of like not trusting what you're seeing in this degree of like, you are stepping into this time, or you are currently in this period where you are being surrounded by these fantastical experiences. Maybe it's like crazy things you see in nature, or weird bits of light that are reflecting different. I feel like it's hard to articulate because you don't quite understand how to articulate these things that are happening. Like I said, it's circumstances that you are physically seeing, or things that you are feeling that just feel so fantastical and inexplainable that you're like having a hard time believing that it's happening. But it, like I said, it's like this sense of like being surrounded by magic, but either not understanding it or not quite believing it. So like, it's awesome, but there's this part of you that's kind of also like scared or shy in a sense of like, there's no way that that really just happened, is there? Okay. Anyway, I think that's the most of what I've got for the current energy right now. So let's get into taking this card back. We're getting into next, what is this goal? Either what has been set for you or what will be set. If you hear a little bit of talking or bang in the background, I am so sorry. My family is upstairs making dinner and, or having dinner, whatever's going on. And there's just going to be a little bit of sound in the background. Hopefully it doesn't pick up too much in recording, but let's get into what the goal is here. Back to our initial scheduled programming. What is this goal? Oh, sorry, it fell. We have the Four of Swords, and I do want to pick up on another card, so let's take bottom of the deck energy. King of Pentacles in the reverse, and I'm already healing. Healing is part of it. Trust and believe. Everybody else got it too. But I'm already hearing that it's good. Let it be true. So 1, 2, 3 could also be an angel number that you've been seeing recently. But let's get right into the cards here. We have the Four of Swords in reverse and the King of Pentacles in reverse. There's a bit of self-trust that's coming through. And there's also a bit of, like, I'm getting this image of an animal coming out of their den after a period of rest and, like, healing. Like, I'm getting this image of like a fox that maybe got caught in a trap or like got cut on their ankle, and they continued to like lick and take care of their wound until they were ready to like surface out of their den again. Also 1313 on the clock, heavy death card vibes there. I'm getting this as kind of like somehow these two messages coincide. But there's this idea of coming out of the shadows and coming out of this long period of rest while simultaneously letting go of control over situations and learning how to flow better. And I think maybe that could be because for a lot of you guys, there's this idea that maybe you tend to keep to yourself and kind of isolate when it feels like things are out of your control or a little too chaotic. Forgive me if anything is weird or this is a little wonky in editing. I had to come back and finish recording this video after doing some other stuff. So we are currently on Needed to Achieve. Summing up the vibe I was looking at before, this feels like a needing to... I'm hearing break out of your comfort zone. I think this is a bit of like breaking out of isolation and needing to stop trying to control everything. And I'm sorry if that sounds a little bit harsh. I don't mean that necessarily as like a blanket statement of, you're a control freak. But maybe it is something to look into in some of your behaviors and your fears that come through. There's this idea that like, you don't need to know everything that's going on, or you don't need to have a complete sureness and understanding of every situation in order to go forward. It's this idea of like, I think we have a little bit of perfectionist and competitive tendencies within this group, but it's this concept of, if you don't know if you're going to be first, why participate in this race? Does that kind of make sense? Like, I'm trying to think of a better example. Maybe this not fun example kind of gives you an idea. It's this idea of like, you could go to this movie, but you don't know if this movie is going to have a happy ending or a sad ending. And that kind of deters you from wanting to watch the movie because you don't want to go to watch a movie that has a sad ending. You don't want to feel that way once you leave the movie theater. And that's fine to have as like, I would rather not be, but like, why would you stop? It's fine to have these certain stipulations that we want for ourselves, especially when we're in a vulnerable position. But there's also this concept of like, are you really going to let not knowing the ending of a movie stop you from experiencing this movie? I think looking at it from that silly little example kind of gives us a better idea of like how we've kind of been looking at things in our life. It's this idea of like, somebody who is afraid to pursue a relationship, for example, because they assume it's going to end poorly or they don't know how the relationship is going to end. And it's like, maybe this person isn't your end-all be-all divine counterpart soulmate, but that doesn't mean that there isn't like something to learn from this experience and there isn't going to be fun or excitement within this experience. 2, 3, 4 on the clock. I think this stepping out of your comfort zone, it ties in with this idea of you don't need to know it all, or you don't have to have it all figured out. And I think that you guys are very intuitive and have very high pattern recognition, which kind of leads you more times than not to know how things are going to turn out. But I do think to an extent, your anxiety does come and play a role where it kind of holds you back from experiencing certain things. I'm going to iterate this. I've said it before. Yes, listen to your intuition. If it is guiding you to something or it is guiding you to do something, go for it. Listen to it. Your intuition knows more than all else. But there is a certain extent where, I think we're kind of muddling when it's our anxiety versus our intuition, and a couple of things to discern from that. Anxiety screams, intuition whispers. That's the first one that I usually tell people, just under the concept of like, if it feels like it's coming from your chest and it feels like it's urgent, that's usually your anxiety. If it feels like it's coming from your gut and it feels more like a nice little whisper or like a calm message, then that's usually your intuition. Another way to discern when it comes to your thoughts in a situation is looking at, does it come to me as a statement or a question? Anxiety will usually come as a question, like, should I go to this coffee shop? Or just a regular thought will come usually as a question, whereas your intuition is usually a statement of like, I should go to this coffee shop, or I should put the down payment on this house, etc., etc. And I think you started to kind of learn how to work with that, but I think this level of your life is kind of like integrating that more within your goal. Sorry, this part of the reading was a little sporadic. But to sum up kind of what I'm getting with the vibe of this goal, it feels like putting yourself out there a little bit more, trying new things, getting out of your comfort zone, but also trusting yourself and your intuition a little bit deeper, as well as allowing yourself to be in situations that might be scary where you don't have full control over the outcome, just to like experience and understand yourself on deeper levels. And this could also go back to like maybe you choose a similar kind of friend usually to hang out with, and I'm getting that sense of like maybe you find yourself falling into repeating cycles and repeating lessons. If that feels like it resonates to you and you understand what I mean by that, where it feels like you are finding similar lessons in friendships, like a different person, same lesson kind of vibe, or in relationships, it feels like that's something that you gravitate to because you know how it's going to turn out. Or it feels like, and even beyond that, maybe it's in jobs or in places that you live, it just feels like a repetition of similar energy because it feels like whether you're consciously or subconsciously choosing it, you feel safe there. So that's why in this current point of your life, part of the goal is to get you out of your comfort zone a little bit more so you can not only expand in what you experience, but expand yourself a little bit deeper. I feel like that's the extent of the clarity that I'm going to get on this goal part for now. So we're going to get into what is needed to achieve this goal. And forgive me if I think I'm doing this right in terms of like, I tried to watch a little bit of the video back before to like remember where I was, but we're going to take it as it comes because I'm moving forward, you know? I'm getting Shark Boy Lava Girl vibes. Maybe some of you guys like identify with Shark Boy and Lava Girl or watch that a little bit growing up, but it's that idea of like sharks keep moving forward, they never go back. I think that's kind of part of the theme that we're having here is like maybe for a long time you found yourself trapped in these repeating cycles and these repeating situations, and now we are integrating the shark vibe of we swim forward, we never swim backwards. What do we need to achieve this goal of putting ourselves in new situations, letting go of control, letting go of repeated outcomes and repeated scenarios? What's going to change up? What's going to help us change up this vibe? Let's take Ace of Cups, and then I want to take one more here. Let's see what pops out. At least one more. I think just one more would be nice. Ooh. Nope, not taking half the deck. Try again. Here we go. The Tower. Okay. Already this kind of makes sense to me when we have the Tower that pops out here. The Tower talks about how... The Tower talks about a shakeup. And a lot of times it talks about things falling apart so they can be rebuilt. And I'm thinking that paired with this Ace of Cups, I'm hearing vulnerability. So there is an ask to be vulnerable in a specific situation. Whether or not you are afraid of the outcome or how you are going to be perceived, there is a specific situation that's going to come up that you'll know it when you feel it, because your initial reaction or your gut feeling or your initial reaction, your initial like behavior to it is going to be some sort of old coping mechanism to hide your vulnerability. But in that moment, you are going to have that split second before you make your decision that is going to remind you that you're going to do things differently this time. And you're going to have to open up and be vulnerable in this situation. But also paired with this needing to achieve, there's this energy of things that don't serve you are going to be falling away at this time. Things that maybe aligned with who you were before you started stepping into this energy of these new coping skills and these new behaviors. Like we were talking about, we are trying new things, looking at things from a new lens. We are putting ourselves in new situations where we may not know the outcome right away. I think your coping skills and your perspective is going to be asked to be changed quite a bit here. And there's this ask that with everything that falls apart, with everything that goes away, you look at this with the lens of love. And that's not to say that you have to toxic positivity yourself to try to find the bright side of every situation. But it's more of, say you are losing a friend just because you are kind of like floating apart as people. Two different paths in your life. You're kind of going your separate ways. You don't click like you used to. Maybe you were somebody in the past that if you were losing a friend, it turned into, how can I burn this bridge so I never have to deal with this person again? Maybe it turned into taking things personally and making that person out to be a villain in some way because you were afraid of losing them. Instead, how can you look at this scenario? Whether or not you have a fight with this person, maybe you do have a fight with this person in this scenario, how can you look at this with the lens of love? Whereas maybe in the past you were, and this is just an example, this doesn't have to resonate with everybody, but it's this, in the example, it's like maybe in the past you had a falling out with a friend and that kind of like ended up in you guys splitting apart. Maybe you were the type of person to create like a you versus me mentality after the fact, where it's like, oh, I can imagine that this person is going to try to come back into my shit and sabotage me, or maybe you're creating these like mental contest with them, like keeping up with their stuff. How can you change that perspective? Like I said, not necessarily saying that's your perspective, but something along those lines of like something in the way that you used to look at these things, changing this letting go and looking at it with a lens of love. So in that specific scenario, you know, instead of wishing harm or creating these mental contests with these other person or creating them to be what's the word I'm looking for? Like a rival in your head, sending them love and light and gratitude and healing. One of my favorite things to do if I'm feeling a little bit vengeful because of how somebody treated me or something in the past went down, I do try to go in with the soul lens, the love lens, as so to speak, which is difficult at times, I get it, to kind of like send them love and healing. But along with the love and healing, that little spiteful part of me wants them to understand what they did to me and understand why maybe I reacted the way that I did. So I also wish that they learn what they did, that they learn and they garner perspective from this experience. Kind of like wishing that they go through something similar of what they put me through so they can understand my perspective. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they will, at the end of the day, understand my perspective, but I do have solace in the fact that at the very least, they will have a lesson sent to them that is similar to mine. And, you know, like I've said before, it's kind of a testament to our resilience, the way that we look at things, the way we change and adapt and grow from our perspectives. Not everybody is going to be able to. There are some people that through their entire life is going to be stuck in a victim mentality, and there are some things within our lives that we're going to be probably narrow-minded in ourselves and our perspective as well. But that's just a testament to each person, the way that they are in adapting or not adapting and growing and changing or staying the same. It's circumstantial based and it's person based. And that's something I think we forget sometimes when we want people to meet us at the same place that we have met ourselves. Because people can only meet you as far as they've met themselves. And the same goes with you, though, as well. If you're understanding kind of what I'm saying there. I know I kind of like bouncing around a little bit. There's also this ask that to achieve this next part of your life, you need to be filling up your own cup first. And that goes back to this idea of people can only meet us as far as they've met themselves. We can only meet people as far as we've met ourselves. If we want to garner in these deeper connections, it's about meeting ourselves at a deeper level first. And I do think that there are going to be periods of solitude within this fun time of connection. Don't think that that means that the fun time of connection is over. Like I said in the beginning, it seemed like there's a particular partnership or a friend group or particular people, like a lot of socializing in this period. But I think that before that, there might have been a lot of personal time, a kind of hermit mode, so to speak, if my tarot readers out there get what I'm putting down. If times like that tend to stem up, like say you find yourself feeling very social one day and it feels like none of your friends are available to hang out with, or you're at this period of time where you and this specific person can't meet up for a week or so, take that as a time to develop a deeper connection with yourself. I do think that you are finding more self-love and more ways to fill up your own cup at this point of your life, and you are developing that deeper connection with yourself and your spirituality. And when you are put in situations where you find yourself being alone. I think we are learning how to enjoy that period of solitude rather than seeing it as like we are lonely in that moment. Although it doesn't hurt that if you are feeling lonely to hit up a friend and see if they want to hang out or something. I just think there are going to be specific periods coming up where you're going to find solitude and you're going to be creating that deeper connection with yourself again. I also think quite a few epiphanies and ways of being are going to be changing in terms of love with the way that these like lightning kind of turns into this heart here. This kind of like, maybe this, I'm hearing cosmic connection. So whether it be romantic or platonic, there is a specific cosmic connection that we've been talking about in this reading that feels like it is going to rewrite your perspective on love and partnerships. Like I said, this could be platonic or romantic, but I do think it's going to be changing a lot of your perspective. And not just how you view yourself and love, but also how you view others and the world. Because I think, I don't know, I just see this person changing a lot of how you view things. I'm also getting this sense of like 11:11 on the clock. That image before where I had like of you as a wounded animal coming out of their den, I'm kind of seeing that here as the squirrel. Where it's like, I think a lot of things have changed in your life already, as much as it seems like they will continue to change. But I think so much has changed already within the last, like I'm getting like a 3 to 5 year period of some sort. Take it as it resonates, but it's like a certain amount of time. Things have changed so much that you now finding yourself like erupting out of your hidey hole, you are being asked to take a look around and just see how drastic this change has been already. Like, I feel like there is some sort of accomplishment within yourself to appreciate. I'm like feeling this warming and like this filling of my heart chakra right now. So maybe this is part of like, you are specifically being called, babe, to reflect on how far you have already come. Whatever like time period comes to mind for you, for a lot of you guys, I think this is in terms of like a quote unquote spiritual awakening of sorts. Some sort of journey that you've been on. Or even for some of you guys, if it just feels like it resonates to look at your whole life. By the way, 12:21 on the clock. That also, sorry, angel numbers like crazy for this group too. 1, 2, 3, as I'm saying that. There is a lot of change that has already happened. And I think that you reflecting on and appreciating this change already is going to help you have more hope and understand just like how much you've already done and how much more there. It's not like there's just like a how much there is to go, but more of like a, you know, if this little bit that you've done already has done so much and has created so much beauty and prosperity and growth, think about how much more there is to come. Like, I feel like it's this idea of how much has your perspective changed since the beginning already. Think about how much more it could change the further you go. It's kind of like this little, like, congratulate yourself on the back as it is and appreciate how far you've already become, because it shouldn't feel like a long road ahead as much as this should feel like I'm getting the sense of like a, like when you play Mario and they have those little like checkpoints that you stop at before you get to like you have a checkpoint on each level, and then at the end of the level there's like that little flag that you go down or whatever, and it's like we're feeling kind of those vibes right now. Like, you're either at a checkpoint or you just completed a level or something like that. Appreciate yourself for it. Really do that reflecting right now. Whether that be, you know, sitting with your earbuds in, making a little music video montage in your head to kind of appreciate how far things have come. I'm getting like a, I always knew this day would come. You know that Hannah Montana song? I'll always remember you. Oh my goodness. Or like sitting in reading old journal entries is going to be so big for so many of you guys. For some of you guys, there's a specific like journal or sketchbook you had when you were a kid. And for others of you guys, it's like looking over the last couple of years, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, heavy, like, I'll always remember you, Hannah Montana vibes coming through here. It feels like this is a big closing of a chapter. Like, this feels like pivotal to a point. 14:41 on the clock. This feels like you have been waiting on this bitch. 444. So appreciate it. Okay. So sorry. I think that's what's kind of here for need to achieve. Also, some of you guys need to talk to the stars. The stars miss you. Or there's something about astrology here. I also think that this blue tank top that the Ace of Cups person is wearing is important to some degree. Take that as it resonates for you, because I'm not getting anything more than this blue tank top here. But yeah, okay, so what can we do right now? That's our next question. We only have 2 questions left. Don't worry, we are pumping these out. I got shit to do tonight anyway, so we're trying to finish this up as quickly as possible as I can for y'all. But the next moment that you have free, I would assume for most of you guys, it's as soon as you finish this video. But if you have shit to do, or you need to go to bed after this, then the next moment that you have free, what is the step that you can take right now in order to be closer to achieving this goal? What is the step to take right now? 5, 4, 3 on the clock. Sorry, I'm feeling crazy wild with it. I think a lot of you guys are watching this late at night right now. I'm getting the sense that you should be going to bed. But hey, it's okay. I won't tell anybody if you want to just finish this reading real quick. Otherwise, like, for others of you guys that it's already too late, pause this video and come finish it tomorrow, baby girl. You need some sleep. A lot of you guys are up way too late right now. Okay, what card did we get? 8 of Cups. And I am hearing that Kelly Clarkson song, Just Walk Away. Okay, with the theme of all of the messages that I've kind of been getting, they seem for me to stem somewhere between like early 2000s, early 2010s, like a lot of the music and a lot of the vibes that have been coming through. So that could be a very important part of your life or something there to look into. I'm hearing like home videos for some of you guys. Maybe you used to record your own videos when you were a kid or when you were, or back in that era, depending on how old you are now. Or maybe there's some home videos from when you were a kid to look into. Ooh, sorry, babe. Didn't mean to, like, shake the camera. But right now, you are being asked to leave things in the past and move forward. There's something tempting from your past that is sitting here. Like, that it feels like something that hasn't finished burning yet, if that makes sense. Like, I get this idea that a story I'm creating that's coming to mind for this 8 of Cups card right now is that she wrote a note to try to get rid of something from the past. She burned it in that bowl. She's burned it in that bowl, and that bowl is done burning, so it's sinking now. And she burned it in that bowl, and that bowl hasn't sank yet. So it's almost like it's still something that is being let go of, but you are supposed to, even if there's still energy tied to that thing, you are being asked to leave that thing in the past and start moving forward to a brighter beginning. So this could be a call if you haven't done like a ritual or some sort of spell work with this yet, that if there is something that feels heavy in your energy right now to do some sort of, maybe it's a cord cutting spell, maybe it's a journal entry, maybe it's writing a letter of goodbye, and this could be anything from like a person, a job, a situation, a former part of you, that you are being asked to let go of. It could be even like a coping skill. And maybe you're being asked to treat this coping skill like a person, write a note of thank you to it and goodbye and burn it. But there is this idea that even if there is some sort of tempting energy with this thing, it's time to leave that in the past and let it sink. And by let it sink, it's kind of like feel what you have to feel to release it. Like if it comes back up and the reminder of this person or thing taps you on the shoulder, to grieve it and cry and let it go. But above all, keep your head up high. Let that thing be the way that it's going to be, because it does not serve you anymore. And keep walking forward to a better reality, better future. I'm here to also say that, like, these footsteps feel like breadcrumbs in a way. Not like a toxic breadcrumb thing, but like breadcrumbs on a trail, like Hansel and Gretel kind of vibes, where it's like, if there is something from your past that is meant to come back into your life, like it feels like there's unfinished business, you are being asked to still let go of this thing. Like I said, no matter how tempting it is or how much you might want to turn around and go grab it, let it do its own thing, because once it's ready for you, if it's meant for you, it will follow the breadcrumbs forward. Does that make sense? And this for a lot of you guys, I do think is a person, whether that be platonic or romantic. But I do think on a grander scale, this could also be like a job opportunity or like a specific place to settle down. Like maybe you have a specific like property that you've had in mind for a while that you want to build a house on. And there's a part of you that's like, oh my God, I would love to do that. But now I'm getting this vibe that now is just not the time for that. So it's like asking you to leave that in the past and grieve it as if you're not going to have it, move ahead forward in the future. And then there's going to be at some point where something better, like a better property comes along, or that exact property opens up in the way that it needed to for you to get it. Maybe you have enough money to go back and buy that property now. Or maybe you found this property when somebody else owned it and that person either passes away or sells it and now you can go buy that property. Or maybe, you know, you just weren't at a point in your life where you were ready to settle on that property. Maybe there was somewhere else you had to live for a while before you came back to it. It's those kind of vibes. If we're going to put it in like this idea of a person, I will never be the one to tell you to sit around and wait for a person. It is never worth your time to do that. People are going to do whatever the fuck they want to do and let them do them. So it's kind of that idea of like, maybe this is the person that you're meant to marry, 21:12 on the clock. And you are being asked to grieve them as if you were breaking up with them and letting them go of your life completely. Move on to your new life, your next place. Maybe find new people to talk to. Move on in your single life. Do your thing. Maybe fall in love and date somebody else if you'd want to. But that person finds you years later when you're ready to settle down and actually marry somebody. Do you kind of get the vibe I'm coming with this? That is kind of what you are being asked to do right now, is just, no matter how tempting these things from the past are, everything that you know that does not serve you anymore, let it go and move on in the future, because you are leaving the breadcrumbs behind that if these things are meant for you, they will follow the breadcrumbs back to you when they're ready and when you're ready. The final note to sum it all up. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I feel like I've been talking forever. What's the time frame? This is something that the time frame part has been interesting. We have been getting a time frame for all of these. I am so excited to see how this time frame works out for you. It's unconventional because this is not like something 222 on the clock and an extra 2 with it. This is not something that feels like it's tangible that we can figure out like a time frame for, but you'll get what I mean when we get there. So what is the time frame for this personal goal we set for ourselves and the universe set for us, or whatever we believe in wants us to achieve within this lifetime? 2 cards. Love to see it. 9 of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. And I just have to point out, because this is bizarre as hell. This shit, I'm telling you, I have been using this deck forever, so this shit is like mint fucking shuffled. Page of Pentacles right here. So, like, as the bottom of the deck energy. So the fact that these, and the other bottom of the deck energy behind that is the 2 of, there's just a lot of Pentacle energy here. Which makes me think about, like, material. So I'm thinking specifically, like, body and work, progress with that. So I feel like time frame wise, the initial knee-jerk reaction is, like, some sort of Earth season. By that, I mean, like, Capricorn, Taurus, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, somewhere within those seasons. Look up when each season is if you are interested. But it also feels like something to do with your job or career for some of you guys. Something is going to falter financially in one degree, which is going to push you to move forward to this other financial venue that you are a page in. Page is like the beginning of something. It's like a student in something. So to me, this kind of feels like, and I do think this kind of ties in with generational curses. Walk with me here. So I get this idea that, like, at this certain point of your life, what is going to be going on when you find out that you've kind of achieved said thing is that it's going to feel like wherever you're financially going through right now, like, this feels like a job or a career path of some sort. Maybe you're in school and this is like the career path you're going for, like through college or something like that. Or this is a job that you have currently, something to do with your financial situation currently is not going to align with you anymore. Maybe you get fired. Maybe you just don't vibe with this specific area of study like you used to. Or maybe maybe you get laid off, just something, or maybe you're not making enough money anymore to sustain yourself through this position. But something about your current situation in finances is going to falter. But it's going to propel you. You're not going to look, you might have some moments of anxiety, but I don't think the anxiety is going to overtake you. I think you're going to be continuing to work on something else. I think this was the group that I was talking about plants with. Maybe not. I don't know. There's going to be some sort of harvest. I'm also hearing harvest, so I'm thinking this could also be between September and November. Depending on when you're watching this, take what resonates and leave the rest. Whatever feels right to you is going to be about that time. But you're going to be, you have worked on something, or you're going to be working towards something, because when this financial venue falters, because of your resilience and you're at adapting, that you are recognizing in the moment that the anxiety is coming through with these things falling through, you're going to move forward on something that's new for you. This could be the start of a new business or business venture. Like I said, this is like student energy. This is beginning energy. So this is like a new business, or this is a new area of study for you. Maybe you're going back to school for some of you guys. It's just something new. This could be, a new release, I'm hearing. Maybe you're getting published, or you're putting out music, something to that degree. It feels like something that maybe you've been working on, but it doesn't feel like you're super, super versed in. So I am hearing that, like, if you need help, I'm getting like that Sesame Street, PBS Kids, ask for help, don't hesitate, just ask for help. And I do think that, like, this bird is symbolizing, like, I do think that people are going to be put into your life to kind of help you with it, if that makes sense. But yeah, I get this vibe that, like, from this shakeup, I think you're gonna feel a little more secure in taking this leap with this new venture, even. Like, there is this weird bit where it's like, it's Ten of Pentacles in reverse here, which makes me think of anxiety, shaken up, but, like, these two are still upright, so it feels almost like you found a deeper sense of peace, almost like the lessons and the accomplishments that we were working through were to set you up for this moment so you could trust yourself to take this leap. And I think once you do take the leap in, like I said, whether it's going back to school, changing your degrees, starting a new business venture, starting a new job in a different, like, area of study or whatever, you will feel more balanced with it. You'll feel more secure with it, I think. There's this understanding that, like, I might be new at this, but I am pretty secure that this is where I'm supposed to be and this feels right for me. But yeah, there's also this idea of harvest to go with it. Like I said, that could just be the time of year, which makes me think, like, September through November. But there's also this idea of, like, harvesting something. If you guys grow your own crops or grow your own garden, this could be at a point where you are harvesting something specific from your garden or your crops. I do think that harvest is going to be your sign. Every group has kind of gotten a sign that, like, after the reading at some point, or more towards, like, the time frame of events when everything is going to kind of, like, fall into place, when we kind of, like, achieve our achievement, that this is kind of like a symbol or synchronicity. I think for you guys, it's harvest. Whether that be, like, there's a specific conversation that you have, or I think for some of you guys, it's reading an article, and I'm getting, like, heavy pumpkin vibes. I'm also hearing I'm Jack the Pumpkin King, so maybe Nightmare Before Christmas is something for you guys. But yeah, something to do with harvests is going to be your symbol synchronicity. Also natural hair. I'm hearing natural hair. That could be something for some of you guys, in terms of how you wear your hair, maybe a product that you buy, or something with an animal. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. We're gonna wrap it up and leave it at that. if nothing else, I am glad that you guys stayed for the reading. Thank you so much for that. If you are interested in booking a personal reading with me, please check out the link in the description below. Check out my website. I would love to work with you. But like I said, if nothing else, thank you so much for staying for the reading, love. I do hope it helped and resonated. And please feel free to come back and tell me how it goes. I love hearing like little stories of like how things line up or what weird things didn't make sense to me in a reading that makes sense to you. But yeah, thank you so much. Have a good one. Pleasure to have your company.